Welcome everyone in the third part of CRYENGINE tutorial video about C++ basics. Today we're gonna work with the UI system, but unlike before, we're gonna use for it C++ without flow graphs. If you haven't watched my very first video about CRYENGINE on this channel, I highly recommend you to go there and watch it, because I'm not gonna be covering creating UI asset in the Flash, because I've already done that in the other video. So once again, I highly recommend you to go there and watch it, because I'm gonna make it quick now. So in today's video, we're gonna just work with the functions from the C++. So we're gonna call the function, and the little white box over here, I'm gonna make it, and it's gonna appear and disappear from the screen. We're gonna save it in here. Yeah, let's call it example. This is our project, libraries and UI folder, as I already covered that, so I'm not gonna be repeating myself. Okay, let's make action script layer, and then we're gonna refer to the example layer. I'm gonna make it real quick. Little white box over here. Let's say it's your inventory system if you want to. That's gonna be a very helpful lesson. I'll convert it to movie clip example. If you watched my previous, this is gonna be example without capital letters. Okay, if you watched my previous video about action maps, that would be very good, because we're gonna use these action maps in today's video. We're gonna press the button, and this thing is gonna appear on the screen, and then we're gonna press this button once again, and this thing is gonna disappear from the screen, right? So I'm gonna load this, and we don't need this anymore. We want to go into action script layer and write some functions. We're not gonna be working on variables or events today, just functions. The other things are for the other videos. First function will be called show. I'm gonna be showing our element on the screen, and the second one will be hide. That's it. Example, which is our box over here, dot underscore visible, true, and then example dot underscore visible. God damn it, what happens? False. It's because when this function show is called, then example visibility turns into true, and this will appear on the screen. When the hide function is called, example visibility flag is changed into false, and this will disappear. So that's pretty straightforward and simple. We need to remember these names, so we're not gonna close it, we're gonna save it and publish it. We did before. Okay, cool, we got this. Everything will be fine from now. Now we're gonna create XML file in sorry, not here. In CPP tutorials, assets, libraries, and UI. There is our SWF file. We want to create in UI elements folder. We want to create XML file, example.xml. Okay, cool. We want to open it. As you can see, it's empty. I already covered that in the other video, so don't be worried about all that stuff that you understand. As I said before, I know I'm repeating myself, but I highly recommend you to go to the best way to do it is just go to all of my previous video and watch them. There is not too many of them, just 3. So especially the first one about UI system. That's my empty file, and I'm gonna use it now. Our file is called example. So example, and we don't have any events this time, so we want to put it over here and call functions. Function action. And now we got two functions, right? One is called show and the other is hide. With the show function, we're gonna make it like this. Copy it. We got two functions, right? So we're gonna just make also hide function be visible for the editor. Example seems to be fine. I might have made some mistakes, obviously. I'm just a human being. But if it doesn't work, I'm gonna come back here and find the mistake. Anyways, description is a quite cool feature over here, because this is gonna be seen in the editor. If you got a bunch of functions and everything, it's sometimes hard to remember all of them, what they do. So you can put it over here, for example, I don't know, shows element on the screen, and this is just a comment that is gonna be seen in the editor, right? So I'm gonna leave it like this. Actually, I don't really usually use this, but why not, right? So that's pretty much all for now, but I'm not gonna close it. I'm just gonna minimize it, because these names are something we might need later. Okay. Now what we have to do, obviously, we have to convert SWF file into GFX. So as in my first video, as I said, you're going to CRYENGINE itself, GFX exporter. Now drop it over the exporter, and it's gonna, yeah, we got GFX file over here. Cool, everything works fine. Now we have to run the editor, just because from this file, obviously. Okay, it might not work, because okay, there is some weird thing on my computer. Whenever I use the Flash, the whole program Flash, then it's changing something in my computer. I have to change it. Don't be worried about what I'm doing now. This is not gonna happen to you probably. But if it does, you already know what to do. There it is. Every time I run this program, it changes. Changes some things in here, and I have to change it back. But don't worry about this. This is not something you have to do to work with the CRYENGINE. This is just some bullshit that my computer does, right? So forget about what I've done now. So now it's gonna work. Launch editor, and from now on, we're going to create UI actions like before. I know we are working with C++ without flow graph, but you have to do UI actions. You have to create them to show the element on the screen. There is no other way to do it. You can't skip it. So we got our editor over here. We don't need to load any map at the moment. We're just going into flow graph. Let's make it full screen. UI actions. New UI action. In UI actions, we're gonna call it example show. It's not case sensitive. And the second new UI action, example hide. Example hide. Okay. In the hide, we're gonna do as we did before. I've already covered that. We need end action. We need start action. We need, oh god damn it, we need what we need display and config. We need display and constraints, and we need display and display. Start action, configuration, constraints, display, and end action. Okay, this thing needs to be ticked over here and there. Okay. On start action, we're gonna set everything up. On set, we're gonna set also these settings, and on set, we're gonna hide action. Right? This is what the fuck are you doing to me, you idiot? Come on. This is hide action right over here. Fucking asshole. Okay, on hide to end action. We need to put our element over here. Example, as you can see, engine reads it, so I done everything properly. Okay. We don't need cursor on this element. We don't need mouse events. We want just to show this on the screen and hide it. That's all we need. Hide. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That should do. We're gonna just copy everything. I don't know what's happening to this stuff, but and now we paste it with links in the show action. The only difference will be here on show, and instead of on hide, we're gonna call it on show. That's all we need. We're gonna now save it, and we don't need the editor anymore. Now we're going into C++. We want our project to be opened, and then go to solutions. If you don't know what I'm doing now, you probably haven't watched my previous video, so I highly recommend you to watch all of them, because I'm referring from one to another, and I'm going to do this. I will. If you watch my previous video, you remember that I made a function that when I press J button on the keyboard is calling these actions. So, and because we already got that working, then we don't need to do anything else. We're just gonna use what we did on what we created in the last episode. I don't need this. This was just to show you opportunities that you can, make this stuff. We want to release as well. All we need is we need it to be pressed, right? Okay. When we press the button, this action will be called. To start working with the Flash assets, you need to include one more file. And this file will be flash UI, flash UI.h. Okay. Now we can start working with it. All you need to do, first of all, you need to get the element itself. How to do that? IUI element. This is a pointer. Element equals flash UI get element, get UI element, and our element is called example. That's all we need. And now if our element, this is just a checking element. If it's something wrong with it, if it didn't find it, this is just gonna prevent engine from crashing. So it's not gonna crash on this. It's just gonna skip it. If the element is fine, then we're gonna call the action first of all. We're gonna call the function on this element. Element call function, and name of the functions are obviously here, hide and show. That's all we need. Call function show. That's all we need. It's gonna call the action show in our UI, this action, and it's gonna make it visible. But since this box is visible by default because we never hide it on the beginning, we have to um, actually initialize the all element on the very beginning of the game. So it's good to do that, where let's go to player.cpp, include the flash as well here. Go to post initialize function in the player because it's very early stage in the game, right? This is one of the first methods that are called from the beginning of the game. So in the beginning we want this element like exactly like we did before. Flash UI get UI element example, and now if element has been found, then we're gonna call the hide function. This is just UI action, I mean. Now we need to UI action p hide action. Let's try to follow me. As I said, if you know a little bit of C++, then you know what I'm actually doing now. It says index, but we can call the name of the function UI action example hide. And now here we're gonna put the name of our element. Oh, sorry, we don't need this. Yeah, I'm mistaken. My bad. Okay, example hide. Why is it? Just because we got this in our libraries UI actions. You got example hide and example show. You can use this to hide and show element on the screen. You can use it without any problems. Trust me, you can do it. But since I want to refer to these functions here, we're gonna skip this process. And we're gonna hide it from the very beginning of the game. Our element will be hidden. So now this action is over here. If it's found, we're gonna also prevent it from crashing. So hide action. If it's not returning null pointer, then UI action manager p, let's call it whatever, p manager, let's say environment flash UI get UI manager. Okay, we got this manager, obviously. Also, let's prevent it from crashing, because why not? And now we're gonna make our manager call this action, so it's gonna completely hide from the very beginning, before even our model is spawned. So manager is gonna start action, and action will be p hide action. As you can see, it's giving me some red shit over here. So you need to also type here example as our UI element name. I don't know why, but it just requires that over here. I know this can also work with some, as you can see here, some arguments as UI arguments. This is something I'm not gonna be covering in this video. We're gonna cover as UI arguments in the variables in UI system. This video is already taking like 20 minutes, so I gotta make it quick, because I don't wanna waste all my day on uploading it. So example and on the very beginning of the game this is gonna call hide action, and our object will be completely hidden. But if we press the button over here, sorry, I'm mistaken. Okay, let's make it a little bit different. Sorry about that. Let's make it show action. There's various ways to do it actually, but yeah, that's it. Now it's gonna, sorry, yeah, there's various ways to do this. I'm trying to make it as simple as I can, because I wouldn't do it this way if this was for my inventory system or something. I would do it much more simple and much more organized. This is just stupid code that I pasted over here in the player that I would make completely different file for my object and stuff, but this is just a simple thing. Okay, so what we are doing on the beginning of the game, pretty much on post initializing on the player, we are grabbing the element and the action. We find the example show action, which is showing our element on the screen. Then we are going with taking manager, and manager starts this action example show action. And now the element will be visible on the screen, which we can actually try out. Hopefully it works out. As I said, if I go for the events, this video would take like 1 hour. It just compiled the code now, so we know there is no mistakes. But it should show our element on the screen, so in the right top corner we should see our white box. There it is, right? From the very beginning of the game, this box is visible. Let's say it's your inventory or something. That's quite cool. Or even menu system. That's fine. What we want now, we want to press J button with our created action from the last video, and we want to hide this this white box, and then we want, if we press it again, we're gonna show this box, right? So let's first of all make it hide. That's how you call functions. This is the function in the Flash, hide. It's showed from the beginning, from default. So we grab the element, and then we call function in the Flash, of course, in the element, and we call function called hide. So that should hide our box. Let's try it out now. I believe this is case sensitive, so be careful with this. Oh, it's like 25 minutes now video. Damn it. Okay, now I'm gonna press J button on the keyboard. As you can see, it disappeared. Cool, everything works. But if I press it once again, it's also gonna call hide function again, and hide again, hide again. If it's already hidden, nothing will happen. So we need to make some flag. This is gonna be very simple. We going inside of player input.h. We are going in the protect. We put, and we're gonna make another variable. This variable will be boolean element, or let's call it is element visible. By default, this element will not be visible. So now if is element visible is true, then hide it. Sorry, then hide it, but that's not the end. That's how you make a simple switch in C++. If it's visible, then hide it, but also the flag has to change into false. Yeah, it's not visible anymore. And else, we can just use else if you want. Without anything, it's gonna work. But to make it more clear for the newbies, then is element visible. As you know, in C++, this means like the false of it. If it's not visible, then is element visible true. And our function, call function show, this will work, but what we have to do now, we have to this variable from the beginning is false, right? It's nothing written to it, so we have to, from the beginning of the game, we have to make it visible, right? So let's go here to player input post initialize. Let's make it is element visible true, because it's visible from the beginning. So let's start with true. And now when I press the button and this is gonna be true, is visible, it's gonna change it to invisibility, and then it's gonna call this function hide, and it's gonna hide it. When I press it once again, this is gonna skip this if, because this is gonna be false. So we're gonna run this if, write true to it, and show it on the screen. Here you will see the. I know I'm making it very quick, and it might be hard to understand for some people, but this is very basic stuff in C++, really. So if you don't know anything about C++, then trust me, these videos are not for you. I know it's basics, but these are basics in CRYENGINE. So we want to run it. Now I'm gonna press J on the keyboard. It's hidden. And press it once again. It's shown. As you can hear me pressing it. Let's say that would be your inventory system, right? You're walking around and then you open it and you do something and then hide it. And that's quite cool. That's all for today. That's a very simple thing, and this is just the beginning of this. But we're gonna complicate it in the next videos, so it's gonna get harder and harder. But still, these are just basics in C++. So that's all for today. I hope I helped a lot of you, and I hope you liked it. And I would be glad if you already comment my videos and say this is cool video and so on. And obviously I very appreciate that. That's really motivating. But what I want to say, once you comment something, please give me some ideas. What would you like me to cover next? Maybe you are struggling with some particular C++ things, then I would obviously help you out with this. So yeah, that's pretty much all for today. Thank you very much for watching, and see you in the next video.